So when I was growing up, the X-Men films were released, and I just remember finding it really thought-provoking, these films. And so for those who are not familiar with the franchise, it is about people living in modern day, and some of the people are born with a genetic mutation that gives them superpowers. And so because of this, the name given to this group are called mutants. And so some of these mutations have physical differences, so like the color of skin and tails. Then other people end up living with these abilities hidden, but though, for instance, being able to shoot fire out from their hands, for instance. And so the story follows along the response of society to this, and arise because of it three different main groups. So you have the Weld and the view that they have to the mutants. You have the Brotherhood, which is led by a man called Magneto, who can manipulate metal. And then the final group is a group called the X-Men, which is a group led by Professor X, otherwise known as Charles Xavier. And so for this video, I would like to explore the different responses to these groups and the conflicting views. And so I think to start off with, from look at the different perspectives, we look at how does the world view them. And so one of the kind of big things, if you've watched the films, is that the world is actually really threatened by them. And you can kind of see why to an extent, because there is this lack of control despite the potential benefits to these different super abilities. Like, I remember, I think in one of the films, the officials say, well, what happens if one of these mutants just decide to break into a bank? I mean, there would be literally nothing we could do about it. And so you have this view of that the mutants are actually the problem and that this needs some kind of change to occur. However, to others in this, then they see it as something which actually just needs a cure, and that the people who are mutants have been inflicted with this curse and are victims. And so some go out to, create a cure for them. While other people, there is this thing about them wanting to go to study more about them and to see actually how they could impact the world around them. But though they didn't do it kind of necessarily for the right reasons, so it kind of ended up being more as if they're being tested like lab rats or just test subjects. While some of the other characters that you come across in this see that the mutants are spiritually possessed and that they've been cursed by God and that they need to be healed and to be prayed for, that these demons inside of them would come out of them. But also you get some characters who view them as mascots and that they look really cool and publicize a lot about them, but actually it's all a bit of a publicity stunt, really. But one of the things that all of them have is that they're all worried about this abnormality and what it could actually mean to them and society. And so that's the world's view. And then you come across this other group of the Brotherhood, which is run by Magneto. So the Brotherhood is exclusive to those who are mutants. And from this kind of group, they are seeking justice and recognition of that they are the superior race compared to the non-humans. And so they get into a lot of kind of troubles and these schemes where they trying to take over different um societies, of which to them the world is the problem and that it needs to be changed. While on their side that actually mutants aren't the problem at all. And then you have this final group, which are the X-Men, which Charles Xavier leads. And these guys are the kind of peacemakers in all of this, and that they are trying to seek peace and harmony between the world and the mutants, and that they look at it as that they are all equal, and that the differences that they have should be just considered as a normality in society and that they should be celebrated. And I suppose what differs between these other two different groups, where they're kind of pointing the finger and saying, oh, each of them are the problem, they're at the X-Men are basically saying, actually, it's up to both sides' responsibilities to work towards this tranquility, and that the mutants can learn to control their powers and to respond to things in the right way, while the world has to build this culture to accommodate that. And so they see it as, yeah, two sides coming together. But it's all really interesting because you can see that from all these different points of view. They're all actually trying to reach for the same thing. So they're all searching for peace and a solution to what is considered to be a problem um, from, yeah, the rise of mutants. And so why do I even bring this up? So these responses can actually be applied to the different models of disability. And although the mutants had like the differences in this case are actually really extreme, so I should say I don't have the ability to fly. Um, but though, yeah, so they're quite extreme in the films, and also the responses can be really radical. But though actually these viewpoints do exist in society today, and which is why I like to kind of raise the question to you guys on, okay, how do you view disability? This is the Blue Amber Saga.